Hi guys, in this video we're going to be looking into a bit more of the shelf down here and kind of smart materials. So let's get started. So down here we've had a look at the brushes a little bit, but we do have a lot more stuff going on. So you've got alphas that you can use, which are particular kind of shapes. So if we make a fill layer, so let's just make this red here and add a black mask to that. So I'm now painting on the mask. If I double click one of these here, rather than using a brush, I can actually use an alpha. So if I click on here, I've now put that shape on there. So that's how you can use these down here. If you want to reset your brush, just go back to your brushes, find a basic hard brush, and then we can just go back to that on there. Okay, there are a few more other things in here. We have materials and we have smart materials. Okay, now materials are very similar to those fill layers, but they're kind of presets up and some of them have kind of images applied to them. So let's have a look at some of these. So we can apply them by just clicking them and dragging them into our layers over here. So I can now add this aluminum, as the Americans say. That's probably one of my favorite American words. To this model here, and it's not really giving us that much, so that one might be a little bit more complex. Okay, so this aluminium pure, okay, super. I don't know what happened there, but it took a while to come in. So you've now got this sort of preset thing here. So I've got this aluminium insulator here. Over the side, I didn't cover this previously, but you've got UVs here, and it's set to repeat at the moment, which means it's tiling everything across it. If I set it to none, it probably won't do anything in this case. Yeah, it hasn't really done. Okay, it's just gonna repeat it. Is the best thing that we want here. If I now decrease the scale, you'll see that it gets bigger. If I increase the scale, it gets smaller there. So it's kind of duplicating it around. So these materials are kind of presets that you can use. We can also rotate this as well here in the UVs. We can offset it. You can see that little kind of white square moving and how the offset is working there. Okay, if I scroll down on the side, I've got my attributes. So my big advice is when you use these preset things and pre-made things over here, you click on the color and you make it like what you want it to be. So if I now select blue or turquoise, okay, it's not really changing anything there. I might need to click on to, can I expand these attributes, journals mapping. Maybe it's just being slow again. Maybe it's updating it right now. Okay, usually I would, there we go, just took a little bit of time to remember what it needed to do. So you can see I've now edited that there. I can change the roughness here. I can change the metalness as well. So if I take this metalness down, it's going to look maybe more like some space insulation or something like that. So let's take it all the way down actually. So we've got this more sort of fabric looking kind of thing now, which is pretty cool. So if you use these materials over here, make sure you are, my mouse is being funny. Make sure you're editing them as well. Okay, so let's have a look at a few others. Smart materials are a bit more complex than those. So let's say we want some gold parts. So let's put this over here, drag this smart material on top. You'll notice this comes in with a little folder, which means there's lots of things that make up this smart material here. It's going to overlay the gold with this, so we won't be able to see this sort of bluey material anymore. But what I am going to do is I'm going to right click onto this and I'm going to add a black mask to that. And then I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to use that polygon fill tool that crashed my computer in the last video. I'm going to select UVs this time, and this time I'm going to click this UV shell here. So I've now made that UV shell around there gold. Okay, let's have a look at some of the other trims. Let's maybe fill this with gold as well, and then zoom out. Okay, and then let's go back to normal, go to the paintbrush tool. So now you can see I have layered these two together, which is really, really nice. So you can use a kind of combination of these. Let's say maybe he's going to have a different kind of face as well. Let's make a new fill layer. maybe his face is this glass visor here. Let's drag that into our layers now. We're going to need to have a black mask on that. Watch me crash my Mac again. Okay, so the black mask has hidden that, and then I'm going to use that polygon fill to select UVs. So this front face should all be on one UV now. Okay. Now what is hiding everything below it? That fill layer, I don't know why that one got made, so let's get rid of that one there. So I've now got my glass visor on the front now. Okay, which is that bluey kind of color there. So let's have a look at how we can edit these. If I click the little folder, you can see, let's just expand it a bit further, all of the little kind of things inside it that make it up. So you can see this is where the base color is coming from here. So if I click on this, I could make this a more of an orangey color, which might fit in with the gold a little bit more. I could make it a more sort of purple color to maybe complement the sort of yellow in the thing there. I can change the roughness of it as well, so it wouldn't be as shiny or reflective. Same with the metalness. I could play around with those. Okay. And then it's got this sort of glowing edge sort of thing on the top there, which is kind of adding stuff around there. Okay, so there's loads of smart materials that you can play around with. We also have something called smart masks, and this works very similarly. By instead of being a color this time, let's try layering something on top. So let's use white actually, yeah. So let's I'm going to add this into its own folder. So I've got the fill layer inside this folder. I can now add a mask here that will let's put it just on this UV shell. Okay, just go here, super. But then I could put a smart mask on this, so a dirty one that's now going to hopefully add a kind of a pre-built mask that generates around the place. It's just thinking about it that's going to kind of layer that in, so I should get a mix between the white and the purple when my Mac decides it knows what it wants to do. Not sure if it quite likes handling it. There we go. So now I've got that smart mask on top there, so I'm starting to layer things together. I've got the mask there, that's that smart mask, so I can click on that smart mask. I can play around, I could invert it globally, which will flip those around that way. That looks quite nice there. Can play around with the balance, which is going to spread it more or reduce it more to make it kind of more full or less full. Again, my Mac doesn't like this too much. Okay, so that's the last thing I'm going to do there. But the point I'm trying to make there, you can see it's sort of all dirty except around the edges there, which is really, really nice. So you can start making some really complex textures with like little dirt around the edges, which is much easier to do it in Substance Painter than Photoshop. Okay, give me 2 seconds. In this video, we've looked at how we can use some of the pre-built tools on the side here. Please feel free to experiment with them all, drag them into those layers there, and layer everything on top. Cool, thanks guys.